Hey, this is Alex from the blue team, and this is our Google Docs Sprint. So the first thing I want to show off is our Google form. I'll actually fill it out here for you to show you that when it's done, it actually will go to the person. I put my name in there because I have access to my own email. And will give me pretty high remarks on a recent speech that I did. I was very knowledgeable. Let's say mine was a little too long, so a lower mark on there. Delivery, very enthusiastic, a lot of eye contact, but the clarity, it wasn't there. So additional comments for a speaker will say, you did a great job. And then this bottom part won't actually be shared with the speaker, so we'll add something in here just to show that this field isn't actually being translated. So we'll have, he went too long. There we go. And then we'll submit it. And Google says thank you. And what's actually happening is we have some scripts in the background that will then email this to that student. And if we look over at that email address we have right here, we have the timestamp that it was done, obviously my name because that's one of the fields, and then each of the fields that we put in there. So here are all the remarks. There's that lower length and the low clarity. Here's the spot that says you did a great job. And then we have an evaluated by evaluator ID. The evaluator currently is putting in their tech ID, but we don't want to share that with the person being evaluated because then they could kind of find out, oh, that person gave me a lower mark, I'm going to be upset at them. So we use this to kind of hide it in the background. And the way this is automatically being sent is, the first part is a trigger. So on form submit means that it'll run this send form by email function right below whenever that submit button is hit. And down here I won't go all into detail, but basically it goes into the spreadsheet, gets that whole last row. Here are two formulas that we're adding to get the email and then the evaluator ID, putting them in the log just in case for debug reasons, setting the values, and then here getting the email, the actual email, and this is a part where if you wanted to actually email the editors of that sheet instead of the speaker, so for some reason we want to change that so we can notify each other when someone adds, when someone does submit something, we can be aware as well. And this bottom part right here, this message part is kind of what I want to point at, is this is what's actually creating that email that you saw earlier. So the headers is, which header is it? It's organization, is it voice, is it additional comments to the speaker, and then this is the actual value, and then we have some new lines right there, and then we add the evaluated by evaluator ID, and then finally send the email. So here's what our actual, this is what the spreadsheet behind the form looks like. You see that we just added this one right here, and if we go all the way over, we have the additional comments that the person saw and the ones that they didn't. Here's the evaluator tech ID that they also didn't see. This evaluating email, you can see up here we have a lookup formula, and we also have this evaluator which is just incrementing. So for this one, I'll show you the lookup. This is the actual table it's going to. There we go. And right now it is all going to the same email just because we don't want to be emailing our various classmates, and this just seemed like a better way for our debugging purposes. But if we wanted to, if we add these people in, it'll actually email, say, Kyle instead of this email. And that's kind of our progress that we've made so far. Kind of went through quickly, but it is a lot of progress. It's very nice. So what we want to do in the future is we want to be able to add the evaluator email in our form, so that'll be new columns over here that we can use as kind of contact information for that person. So if there is a dispute of grade, we can get a hold of them. We also want to be able to graph these numerical results over here, say for each person. So if a certain user is being evaluated multiple times, we can have a graph of, say, averages and things like that. And then also be able to email those overall results when the form ends or at a certain date that's defined maybe somewhere in the spreadsheet or elsewhere. And then another task that we want to have done by the end of next week is creating a trigger just like the one that automatically sends the email, but one that will update the list of speakers, because right now we have this list, but right here we have this list right here, but it is only being updated when someone goes into the Google script and actually runs it. So we want to automate that, maybe say every day at midnight, to update it in case a new speaker is added, that this list will be updated automatically. And that concludes our Google Doc sprint for the blue team, and if you haven't already, check out our FileMaker Pro sprint.